What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Kurt with Wealth and Fitness Lifestyle. Back at it again. Got another video for you guys. Do me a favor. Please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell to get future content. So what I'm going to talk about today, which is something that's really important, an important topic, is the truth about credit. And, I'm going to kind of break down, how credit is calculated, how credit can be used as leverage in terms of, getting a loan and things like that. If you're trying to get a car and a house, how to improve your credit score without the help of, credit repair companies, and why I don't necessarily, like to use credit repair companies, and you can actually do it yourself once you understand how credit works. And I think that that's a key component in understanding, once I break down, credit, how it's used, how you can use it as leverage. Once you understand how it works, you're not going to necessarily need a credit repair agency. You could just do it yourself. A lot of times people don't have the time or the energy to learn it. And I will tell you that actually sets a lot of us back, because we don't understand, and we're quick to pay somebody else to do for us what we can learn how to do ourselves. Like, for an example, once I learn, how to do my own taxes and how taxes operate and work, I do it myself. There's no need to pay somebody $200, $100, $300 to do my own taxes. So let's get right into this. What is credit and why is it important? Essentially, credit is part of your financial power. It helps you get things, like for the now, like if you want a car, credit card, on the basis that you're promising to pay later, right? So basically, credit is how effectively you use debt, right? Because that's what it all kind of boils down to. So, there's different types of credit. The two major types of credit is installment and revolving credit. Installment loans are basically a set amount of money loaned to you for a particular purpose, like auto loans and student loans. Now, installment loans don't have as much of an impact on your credit as revolving lines of credit, and I'll get into that a little bit more in detail. Revolving credit is a line of credit that you can keep using after you pay it off. So like a credit card, like if you have a Macy's card or Home Depot card, that's considered revolving credit. And what I want to do is I want to break down, the percentage of what makes up a credit score, right? So, there's three bureaus. There's TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax, right? And each credit repair company, each credit bureau, adds up your score based upon what appears on your credit report. That's why it's key and essential to know also too what's showing up on your credit report. So in adding up your scores, what they do is they utilize a metrics to determine that particular score. So your score is made up as the following: 35%. I'm going to pull up this chart to show you guys this particular score. 35% of your credit score is your payment history on your revolving lines of credit. So like, your credit cards, your department store cards. 35% of that is you paying on time. Like I said before, credit is the ability to make payments over the course of time and how you manage debt. So 35% of that is payment history. Do you pay your credit cards on time? The next percentage is 30% is amounts owed. So when you look at the amounts of your credit cards, let's say you have 4 credit cards and they all add up to, $10,000. What they do is they look at, your available credit on all those cards total up, which is 10,000. So let's say you're utilizing 5,000 out of that $10,000. Your debt to utilization ratio is 50%. And there is a breakdown with this. It is suggested that you don't use more than 30% on all your credit cards on your utilization. And that score, as you get higher and lower to 30%, is going to have an impact on your credit score, and getting the maximum amount of that 30% added on to the 35% with your payment history. So 65% of your credit score is actually, considered on your revolving debt, and if you pay on time, and how much of that debt are you using. So I think I told you guys in one of my videos, last year, I had $20,000 in purchasing power, and I was utilizing like 97%. So I was close to that 20,000, and I aggressively paid off all my credit cards in a year. Like, I was really, intentional about doing that. And now my utilization is like, I think it's like 5%, and which caused my credit score to go up because I'm under, a certain percentage of utilization. And what that taught me was having that discipline, I have a $5,000 credit card, but, I'm not even going to use the suggested amount under 30%. I'm only going to use under 10% of that credit card because I want to maximize the amount of points for that credit score. Your credit score is also 15% of it is the length of your credit history. So, what they do is they take the average of when you open up all your credit accounts, like your credit cards, your student loans, your mortgages, whatever's on your credit report. They take an average of that, and that average, to maximize that 15 points, I think if you have 10 plus years of, credit history, you get that whole 15 points. So this one is going to it takes time. It's going to take time, but they take the average. So if you open up a new line of credit, your length of credit history is going to go down because, you're open up more lines of credit. So if you want to maximize on the 15%, it's going to take some time to, get to that. And the last two, which is 10%, is the mix of credit. How diversified is your credit? Like if you have student loans, mortgage, revolving debt, personal loans, that's where that percentage is. And, 10% of it is new credit. And what I want to kind of do, so now that you understand what the percentage of what makes up a credit score, now you have the tools to know, okay, how can I increase my credit score based upon the circumstances of where I'm at? And in relation to payment history, a lot of that, is, making sure that you pay on time, right? Some of us may have like collections on our, credit, on our credit report. And, the reason why initially I said that I don't like why I wouldn't choose credit repair agencies is because you can do the same work that they're doing once you learn to be able to increase your own score. So you wouldn't even have to pay them to do it, right? And, once you learn, like when you can actually Google and get, sample letters to send people, sample letters to send bureaus, even Credit Karma. When you go and have an account on Credit Karma, they give you like sample letters to dispute certain things. And once you do your research and once you understand that you have the ability to do that on your own, you wouldn't waste your money on credit repairs. So typically, and something else I want to talk about is, so your credit score ranges from 300 to 850. 850 is the max. So depending upon, where your credit score falls under will determine, your availability to like get loans and things like that. So for an example, I'm going to bring up this chart right here. So as you can see, if you are, anywhere between 300 to 579 is considered, very poor credit. Your chances of, getting approved for, some debt, you're probably going to pay a higher interest rate because your credit score is low. You might not get approved for, a lot of different things. I do know that, and I'm not sure because of under the pandemic, if you want to go for a FHA loan, if you're trying to purchase a home, your credit score can be as low as a 580, but you're going to be just paying more fees and interest rates, right? From 580 to 669 is considered fair credit. Although some companies may approve you for certain loans, some may not. 670 to 739 is considered good. More than likely, you'll get pre-approved for most. If your credit score falls in that category, you'll get pre-approved for most loans. If your credit score is a 740 to 799, which my credit score kind of falls into that area, you won't get denied for anything. And that goes for if you have an 800 credit score to 850. So in understanding how credit works and understanding the percentages and how a credit score is determined, and understanding, you know, where if you look at your credit score right now, where you fall under, the reason why I would highly suggest you doing your research and understanding a little bit more about now how do I want to increase my credit score, because this is what I did, right? After I purchased my first house, my credit score went down, and you know, I realized that I didn't need to pay a credit repair company to tell me, you know, that hey, you're using 97% of your utilization, and how about you pay down all your credit cards and pay them on time. So what I did was I used the snowball effect, and I'm not sure if a lot of you guys follow Dave Ramsey, but he talks about this. What I did was I was paying the minimum on all my credit cards, and I would, you know, I had side hustles and I had other things that I was doing, and then once I saved up a certain amount of money, I would pay off a credit card while paying the minimum on time. And what I did was I used automatic payments to be taken out my account so I could maximize on that. And over time, over the course of time, you'll see that you'll get to, you know, utilize that 35% on, you know, your payment history. And then I had some late payments, you know, from years past. And what I did was I started writing letters straight to the, you know, straight to my credit card companies, disputing those, and you know, they fell off. And you know, I was staying on top of it. You know, I was, you know, really intentional and focused. So those two dynamics alone had a major impact on my credit. Now, all of this and understanding is just how you manage debt. But one thing, and I was watching Dave Ramsey's show, right? And one thing he talks about is, you know, the fastest way to building wealth is to get out of debt. And, you know, we were kind of sold this whole ideology about credit, how credit works. You got to have excellent credit. You got to have good credit. And then once you realize that all credit is just manage how you manage debt and maximizing an 800, you know, trying to get to an 800 credit score so you can get more debt and just have more debt. It made sense to me that, you know, and this is during my epiphany stage, when I paid off all that debt, and I think I told you guys, I freed up $700 a month. I felt like I got a pay raise. I felt like, wow, like I have no credit card debt and I have more income. I see more of my income, and now I'm able to invest in the things that I want to do. So, you know, this whole truth about how credit works is theoretically how well you manage debt. But the question is it faster to get to becoming wealthy without having debt, or are we going to continue to leverage debt in order to create more income? I think those are the two questions as I'm going on my wealth journey. You know, if I think about it, if I had no mortgage, if I had no student loans, if you had no car note, if you had no credit cards, none of that stuff, how much more money would you have to be able to invest? How much more money we able to have to do the things that you want to do? Like I could tell you right now, like if I had no debt, like how much money I would have. So I think the truth about this whole debt, credit, wealth thing is, you know, how well you manage your money and budget your money, and the road to that is living on less than what you make, in my opinion. So I hope this information was vital and essential for you. I hope that this is helpful. These are just my personal theories and thoughts on the truth about credit, how credit works, and you know, as I'm on my journey to wealth. If you guys are trying to improve your credit, I highly suggest you learn all the information on your own. So let's get fit, let's gain wealth, and let's improve our lifestyle. Holla at your boy.